Someone asked me last week how most people start out with objectives and key results, or OKRs, which is a collaborative goal-setting practice made famous by the way that most people start out with OKRs, which is a CEO or a leader throws a copy of this book at him and says, "Oh my gosh, we have to do this." And then some unsuspecting program manager or enthusiastic strategy professional takes on that mantle and reads this book dutifully and realizes that it really doesn't tell us how to implement OKRs. It gets us very excited about OKRs, but doesn't tell us how to implement. So if you find yourself with an OKR implementation that isn't exactly going to plan, you are not alone. I'm Sara Lobkovich, author of You Are a Strategist, Use No BS OKRs to Get Big Things Done. I'm an OKR activist and coach who focuses on workplace and career impact. I help you move strategy out of slides and drives and into your everyday operations and decisions so you can actually do better instead of just doing all the things and hoping for the best. Before we dive in, I want to make sure you know about the No BS OKRs private podcast series. You'll get immediate access to 6 laser-focused episodes that reveal what actually works in OKR implementation and what doesn't. From me, an OKR master coach who's worked with implementations from 1 to multiple thousand people in the Fortune 500. Sign up and start listening now using the link in the description. There's an obvious place that most OKR practitioners would start when it comes to how OKR implementations go off the rails, but we're not going to start there. I'm going to start with a little bit spicier place. The number one biggest issue I see in OKR implementations that are off the rails is when leaders adopt OKRs with the belief that accountability is for everyone else. I actually screen really carefully for this now, because in the implementations I work with that are most successful, they succeed when the leaders at the top of the organization are modeling the behaviors that they want from the rest of the organization. So often when I'm working with clients, we're starting at the very top company level OKRs, and then we don't localize them down into the organization or cascade them down into the organization until the leaders are singing from the right songbook. If you want an OKR implementation to work at scale, your leaders have to model the behavior they want to see from the rest of the organization. The number 2 biggest issue I see that negatively impacts OKR implementations is the belief that it's all just semantics. You would not believe how often I walk into an organization and ask how they define an objective and a key result, and there isn't an answer. And these are organizations that have been using OKRs for multiple quarters or even multiple years. I am a strategist, so I am a words nerd, but objectives and key results are terms of art. And they're not the only terms of art that we need in order to make this all make sense. So the first thing I do when I work with organizations is bring in a already established glossary of words and meanings so that we can all get on the same page about what we mean when we use the words that we use with OKRs. Number 3 is the thing that most OKR practitioners would start with, which is too much. Too many key results, too many objectives, too many meetings, too much time spent creating OKRs, too much of everything. That is definitely a way to cause your OKR implementation to struggle, for sure. But that one I find to be a little easier to address because most people see that problem themselves, and then it's fairly easy to correct with a little bit of work. So that is one of the biggest fail points, but it's also one of the easiest to address. There are 2 other biggies, which one is trying to cascade OKRs down through more than 2 or 3 layers of an organization, or trying to cascade too quickly, and tying OKRs to performance management or performance pay. But those are topics for another video, so keep watching. Now, what did I miss? I would love to hear from you. What's your biggest frustration or challenge with OKRs? Let me know in the comments. If you're ready to get started right from the start with aligned goal setting, or transform struggling OKRs into strategic achievement, check out the No BS OKRs private podcast series. Get exclusive access to 6 laser-focused episodes that reveal what actually works in OKR implementation from someone who's trained over 2,000 OKR coaches in more than 300 organizations globally. Sign up and start listening now using the URL in the description. Now, stay tuned for the next video where we'll tackle a hot topic I just mentioned, why I see cascading or localizing OKRs down through an organization differently than some of the traditional implementation approaches. Don't forget to sign up for the private podcast series to dive even deeper, and I'll see you there.